Hello friends, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to today's program. We have a great show for you. We have some interesting features I think you're going to enjoy. And let me say how much I appreciate everyone's efforts on Election Day last week. We actually have another chance as citizens of this country to right some things that have been wrong in government. We've actually got a chance now. Our work has only just begun, and we have a tremendous job that we have to do. Because you know what, friends? There are people, there are powers that be in Washington and some local areas around this country that are literally wanting to take away everything that goes bang from each one of us as citizens. We cannot let this happen. So let's open another program. We have some interesting guests today. We have some features I think you're going to enjoy. So let's take our Shootin' Show 41 Magnum and open today's program. Yes! You know, friends, one of the most important things that we as experienced shooters can do is get some young people down on the range and let them have the experience of properly and safely handling a firearm. And what we have three fine young men today. We have Johnny, Jeffrey, and Elijah, and we're going to let them shoot some. And you know what we have to do? We have to always have eye protection and hearing protection, certainly so they can shoot in comfort. And you don't have to do anything real complicated. We're going to throw some clay targets here in a second, but let them have the experience of what the gun feels like. You know, there wouldn't be nearly as many accidents, certainly with children, if more of them knew what the guns felt like, knew what would actually happen when the gun went off. They've got to have some reasonable instruction. And normally kids are real good about paying attention. You know, that's one thing about children. Their minds are literally sponges for information, so it's so important that we give them the proper information and show them the proper safety features. Well, fellas, let's do a little shoot.
All right.
Well, friends, what we're going to do, Elijah here is going to do a little shooting for us. And you know, clay targets are really a lot of fun because one, when the individual, certainly the young person, can immediately see something that happens. So we're going to do a couple of things here. Elijah, you have a double barrel, and notice how we always keep that muzzle elevated away from everybody. Certainly we're very, very careful where this muzzle points. So, sir, I'm going to let you take this. Let me have your shells. Great. All right. And keep pointed that way. Good. Now then, put your couple of shells in there. Like I said, we don't have to do things that are real complicated. Go ahead and close your gun. It's on safe. Now then, keep muzzle pointed away from us there. So turn right around here. All right, shoot that clay target on that post there, please, sir. You step back. And say something can immediately happen. Now, let's see, let's be sure our gun's back on safe, and it is good. Proper handling, of course, when you have more than one shell, certainly, immediately upon shooting, put the gun on safe right then. Well, let's do something else. Now, what we're going to do, we don't have a thrower down here today. We're just getting him started in shooting flying targets. So let's take a shot at a couple of them. How about that? Do it. Close. Let's try it again. Ready? Good. Broke that one. Now, friends, the gun Johnny has is a single shot, and I prefer to start young people off, new shooters, with singles or doubles where they can actually open the action and see whether the gun is loaded or not. Now, that's my own preference. Some of you may have some different ideas. But a single shot also forces you, because you know in hunting game or whatever else, you know that you do not have a backup shot. It's going to take you a little while to reload. And it actually forces some of us, makes us a little more, shall we say, it makes us concentrate a little more on that shot. Because that one shot, in fact, on an animal like a deer or something like that, will probably be the only good shot you're going to get. So, Johnny, let's turn around. Let's shoot some of these clay targets. Go ahead and load your gun, please, sir. And watch. There you go. Get ready. I'm going to throw it up. Do it. Good. Now, friends, Jeffrey, of course, is 9 years old. And some of you may think, well, that's early to start someone shooting. It's really not. As early as a child can hold a gun and handle it safely. And, of course, we wouldn't let Jeffrey come down here by himself. But you know what? He actually can shoot a gun well, and in times past, it was nothing unusual for an 8 or 9 year old to go hunting if they understood the proper procedures, and certainly the safety procedures and how the guns work. Now, that's in times past. In today's society, a young person like this. Now Jeffrey is at one of the most impressionable times in his life. So it's so important for him to come down here and learn how this gun works, because Jeffrey, if he sees another child with a gun, he is not going to stay around. He's going to get some help. He's going to help ensure that no one is injured, because he understands how the gun works, and he also understands the effect of the gun on target. And if these young people, you see, they're so confused by cartoons and comic books, some of the ridiculous things on other programs on television, they're really confused about what happens. You know, young people like this see someone get shot on some program over and over. Well, they're never wounded very bad. The hero's never wounded very bad, so what these kids think is that will be the same way with them. Well, in real life, it's just not true. So we really need to take a look at some of the organized, some of the ridiculous plots that some of these programs have, and the way that firearms are portrayed, and some of it is absolutely ludicrous. Well, Jeffrey, now you're new to a 12 gauge. Now this is a 12 gauge shotgun, and Jeffrey, how much you weigh, Jeffrey? About 85 or so pounds?
Yeah.
And Jeffrey is, it won't be long before he's 5 feet tall. I think you're 4'8" now. But he can actually handle this 12 gauge with proper loads. And let me say again, with proper loads, someone like Jeffrey's age or size can shoot one of these guns, but you never want to take a young person, or say a woman that's new to shooting, you never want to take them out with a magnum load, because all it's going to do is hurt them, and it's going to ruin their attitude on shooting, possibly for the rest of their life. So you want to be sure and have a load that is not going to hurt his shoulder or someone like him who's just starting to shoot a larger gun like this. Well, Jeffrey, you got your clay targets up down there, huh? Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to put that trap load here in this single shot. Get in position there, please, sir. Notice he does have his ear protection and eye protection. Go ahead and cock it. Don't put your finger on the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Good, good. Now, see there? That didn't hurt, did it? Of course, we have a recoil pad on our gun here. Let's try that again. You got one more target up there. Let's do it again. Get in. There's your shell. Put it in, load it. Shut the action. Good. Now then, now get up in position. Get against your shoulder. Get that hand, this left hand out here. Don't touch. Whoop. Don't. Remember, we don't put our finger on the trigger until we're ready to shoot. Now cock your hammer. Don't touch the trigger. Cock the hammer. Good. Now then, go for it. Well, sir, I believe you just worked that target over like you were supposed to. Turn around and smile, folks at home. Okay.
You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbon Ammunition, Corbon Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbon ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbon, information on their product line, call them. Corbon Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one, Corbon is the best there is.
Well, friends, let's see if we can get some things done here before the rain starts. Yes, here in Louisiana, yes, we do get our share of moisture, I promise you. Anyway, I'm holding one of our SKS guns, and, you know, we show these periodically on the program, mainly because so many of our viewers, so many people have these. This is probably the most inexpensive semi-automatic rifle that's ever been offered to the American public for sale, and they really are good guns. They have a good design, and the ones that we've seen, and we've seen a lot of them come through here, that people have, and some that we've tested on the program, have really been quality workmanship. Now, they're not finished to the degree of a, say, a Weatherby or a fine Remington or whatever else, but they're still very serviceable and usable guns. Now then, one of the problems that a lot of us have with the basic SKS is, you know, the Chinese are typically shorter people. I mean, they are. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, they're a smaller stature than the average American. So what we have here, we have a stock that is quite a bit too short for the average American who's going to use one of these guns. Now, of course, for a deer gun, for a young person, a youth or a child or maybe a lady, they may be just fine. But for the average man, the stock is just going to be too short. You don't worry a lot about recoil because you don't have enough recoil with this gun to really think much about. But here's something, this is among the neat stuff category that has come to our program. The good folks at Capco have come up with a stock extension or a recoil pad type thing that all you have to do is you take off the metal plate and they give you screws with it and you just slip it in place, and it effectively gives you an extra 1.5 inches or 2 inches of stock length. So it makes it much more comfortable, and yeah, I'll put it on there, we'll look at it in a second, much more comfortable in shooting the gun. Now they also have several other things. They have a little piece that goes on the bottom of the stock that gives you an extra place to grip here. They have a cheek rest. A lot of us are going to scope these guns. They have a cheek rest that goes on the gun, on the top of the comb there on the stock. That is a very pleasant thing there if you're going to be using a scope. And yes, they do have their own scope mount, and it's a very simple thing. It goes right in the side of the rear of the gun. It's very simple, and of course it lets the bolt work. It just lets the empties eject just fine to the right like they normally would. So this is really a neat package they have. They have these accessories, and I suppose you can buy them individually, whatever you might want. But let's take a look at them on the gun. Now, friends, you can see we fitted the SKS with the recoil pad. Really, it's more like a stock extension. We have our cheek rest on here. We have the little rest or the addition to the bottom part of the stock there behind the trigger guard, and it really does make much more comfort in shooting the gun. One, it feels right. It feels more like an American-sized rifle, which I think is going to be important for good shooting, because, you know, to really shoot your gun well, to enjoy shooting your gun, it ought to fit you. And these are accessories that really can help. We didn't install the scope mount, mainly because I don't have a scope handy today. But anyway, this is a very well-made, nicely thought-out mounting system here. Another thing they do make, if you're going to scope your gun, they make a muzzle brake, and you just slip the front sight on these guns is literally just pinned in place. You can take that off and you put the little muzzle brake on there. And again, these guns have very little upchuck anyway with the mild cartridge, but I'm sure this will really serve to keep it down. And those of us that may want to use one of these guns in some action shooting competition, maybe you have a dot scope or something else you want to put on here, this could aid in your time between shots. You can keep your gun on target a little bit quicker. So these are really nice accessories from the good folks at Capco, and it's something that I think a lot of us would find very worthwhile for our SKS.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break.
Friends, you can communicate with the Shootin' Show on CompuServe now. Our number is 735-42-3024. Again, 735-42-3024. And to join our Shootin' Show Gun Club, call us at 1-800-895-7916. We take Visa, MasterCard, check, money order, whatever you got. Join today, friends. We need to reach as many people as we can. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Well, friends, the gun we're going to be looking at today is the Model 24 from Smith & Wesson. And this was a limited production gun that has, in fact, been out of production for several years. And I really hate to see it because this was such a nice package. Now, Smith & Wesson created probably the lessening of interest in the 44 Special cartridge, which this gun was chambered for the 44 Special. And when Smith & Wesson and Remington came along with the 44 Magnum back in the early 50s, well, people said, well, why would I want a 44 Special when I could shoot a 44 Magnum? Well, there are a lot of reasons for that. Now, in the picture, you can tell the 44 Magnum is on your left and the 44 Special on your right. There's not a lot of difference in the cartridges. It's a similar relationship to the 38 Special and the 357 Magnum. The 44 Special was an outgrowth of the 44 Russian cartridge, and truthfully, it has a lot more case capacity than it actually needs for the amount of power in the cartridge. And so, since there were a lot of 44 Special guns around when Elmer Keith and the development team decided that there should be a much more powerful cartridge for a handgun in 44 caliber, they decided they would make the case about 1/10 of an inch or so, a little bit longer, making the case where it would not chamber in a 44 Special chambered gun. And certainly it will not. The bullets will almost go in. They won't go in far enough so it can be chambered. The reason is there are a lot of older 44 Special guns out there, and you darn sure would not want to shoot a 44 Magnum in the 44 Special chambered guns. One, a lot of the older guns literally would have a good chance of blowing up. So that's a safety factor they built in when they designed the cartridge. The 44 Special is typically a low-powered, low-pressure cartridge. The standard factory load is about a 246 or so grain lead bullet, moving along at about 700 to 750 feet per second. In a 3-inch barrel like that, it's going to be right down around 695, 700 feet per second. Now then, still a 246 grain lead bullet, and that's no joke. If it hits something, it has quite a bit of slap. The good folks at Corbon have come to the rescue, and those of you who have one of these Model 24 or 624 Smith & Wesson guns, or one of the other 44 Special chambered guns like the Taurus or the Rossi, or the Charter Arms Bulldogs, you can get the new Corbon loading, and it runs about 180-85 grain bullet at around 1,000 feet per second, which makes the 44 Special pretty much the equivalent of the better 45 ACP load. So what you essentially have, you have a revolver that will equal the power of a 45 ACP. And a lot of us happen to like revolvers a lot, and I'm one of them. And this is such a nice package overall. It's very pleasant, very mild to shoot. This 3-inch gun, in fact, makes a lot of sense. It's it's certainly a little heavier, a little bigger than most snubbies we're used to. But the thing is, you can load the gun with a standard velocity ammunition, and you just have, for training purposes or whatever else, you just have almost no recoil. Just not much, little lead bullet smoke there, a little lube smoke. You just have very little recoil, and these guns tend to be extremely accurate. You know, the 44 Special was a target type cartridge for many years, and today you've got that big case and not a lot of powder in there from the factories, but like I said, Corbon has come to the rescue, and if you really want your 44 Special to perform, you can get some of the new Corbon ammunition. It will really turn it into a powerful, or a much more powerful handgun. One of the reasons that Elmer Keith chose the 44 Special to work with, they had run some tests on the 45 Colt, and the cylinder walls were so thin on the single action armies that they were experimenting with, and of course Smith & Wesson had some 45 caliber revolvers back then, and you didn't have enough thickness in the steel in the cylinder to really contain the pressures that the cartridges, you could stuff enough powder in that they could generate. So Elmer did the next best thing. He said he went to a slightly smaller cartridge which would leave more metal around the hole in the cylinder. So what that amounted to was he could get a tremendous amount of power out of the basic 44 Special cartridge, but he wouldn't be at the risk of blowing guns up, and they did blow up several. This is an extremely well made. It's the in-frame revolver. It has a slim type barrel. It's not the heavier barrel. Of course, this gun has target type sights, has the very nice finger groove grip on it. It's a very nice package. Friends, you can tell, of course, typical Smith & Wesson quality as far as fit and finish, which on most of their guns is real good, especially their revolvers. I personally think their revolvers are prettier than their semi-automatics, although I tend to like their semi-automatics. It's just such a nice package that we're used to on the end frame. Push the cylinder release latch forward there, and of course the cylinder comes out. Incidentally, speed loaders for the 44 Magnum of the Model 29 and different variations will also fit this gun. I personally think that the 44 Special is a vastly overlooked cartridge and gun combination. Now, friends, you can tell from our Colt government model here, the two guns are roughly the same size as far as bulk they'll take up. The revolver, of course, is going to be a little bit wider, but you have power roughly equivalent to the 45 ACP, except in a revolver. And I also, another little opinion here, I think that a lot of these police officers that have gone to the semi-automatics would be a lot better off with big bore revolvers like this for a lot of reasons. One, you don't have nearly the amount of recoil that some of the Magnum guns do have. This gun is very shootable, and if something's shootable, you can place your bullets accurately if you're not intimidated by muzzle blast as well as recoil. Anyway, let's take a shot or two with it here. In fact, let's take several. Remember, just line up those sights, put that front sight in the back groove here. Let's see what happens. And we have a nice hit there. Let's do it again. Now then, let's take a look at our group, which looks pretty good, actually. From just some semi-rapid fire, I say semi-rapid, just a little shooting there offhand at several yards, but you can tell this gun certainly, and I do want to add that these 44 Special guns like this 624 or 24, the 624 was a stainless version of it, tend to be extremely accurate, and it just takes a little practice and find out what load the gun really likes.
You know, friends, this Colt 45 or something equivalent, I think, is extremely important for self-defense. But let me tell you about another kind of defense. How about mental defense? We need to know what's going on in this country, and trust me on this one, there is no better publication to do that than the New American Magazine. It comes every 2 weeks, twice monthly, and of course they cover subjects that we need to know about. They cover all sorts of issues, from the gun issues to what's going on in Congress to all sorts of news items from all around this country and around the world for that matter. Things that are absolutely essential to us as conservative, gun-owning Americans. We need to know this. This is a tremendous bargain. It's $22 for a 6-month subscription. And I'll tell you what, friends, you'll read the New American, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get mad, but you'll also find out what you need to do. You're going to find out facts that you will not find in any other organized news media publication. But trust me on this one, these people, we know them, and if they say it, you can take it to the bank. It is in fact true. And that brings up their 800 number. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on. And in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information.
Well, friends, this is the gun that the good folks at Britain's Gun Shop in Shreveport have loaned us. They're not that plentiful. There are not too many of these guns around. Smith & Wesson made a limited number in blue, like this Model 24. They also made a limited number of the 624, which were all very nice guns to my knowledge. If you see one, you sure want to look at it, because they are somewhat, certainly not common at all. And they're very fine guns. You have enough safety margin there in the cylinder. You can take them on up in power if you so desire. But again, as this would be a tremendous home defense or tremendous police weapon, loaded with Corbine ammunition. You get 45 ACP power. You have the 44 Magnum speed loaders, which will fit this gun, and they're very desirable pieces. So, and remember, that old big bullet does have quite a bit of slap to it.
Tri-tote's real easy to use because all you have is a hook on your waist, and you have another hook on a strap. Okay, so all you're doing is you're hanging your gun up like you would on a peg gun rack. There is never anything attached to your equipment when you use the tri-tote. Okay, you just set the gun with one hook behind the trigger guard and the other hook on the barrel. To use it, you just push in on you towards your chest, pick the gun up to shoot it. Basically, you got 7 different positions anywhere you want to range the barrel of the gun by just taking it off. It's a piece of Velcro strap onto a Velcro shoulder pad. You just put the gun into it, pick it up and shoot it any way you want. I know a lot of people like to walk around with their gun over their wrist. In this position, tucked up under your arm, it's real comfortable, except it breaks your wrist. Set the gun with the hook in front of the trigger guard, and you got the same position, except your hands free always. And what you want to do is you can take your trigger finger right at the trigger guard, pick the gun right up off the pod, and then you got it ready to shoot. Okay? The other position that you have is when you set the butt of the gun right on the hook on the side, and you can just hold your gun for field shooting in this manner, or you can just rest it back on your shoulder, shrug your shoulder, hit the gun, catch it, and the gun comes up. It's that simple to use. A lot of people like to go out riding on their four-wheeler and their ATV, or climb into their deer stand, or drag their deer. You got a securing strap that just peels back. All you do is set it on the barrel of the gun, wrap the barrel up, and you have a little securing loop down here on the pod. Okay? You take that and you secure that right over the hook of the gun, so you're securing the top and the bottom. You can ride your four-wheeler, you can climb your tree stand in this manner. If you'd like to pull out your deer, you can open your waist belt up, drop your right hand down through your straps, bring your left hand back up through it. The gun immediately goes on your back. Buckle it up, take away any of that slack. You don't want that. Just readjust it. Pull it up tight on your back, and that's the most secure back carry you'll ever have. You can drag your deer out any way you want to drag your deer out. Climb your hands, use your binoculars. You're always hands-free with the tri-tote.
Now then, friends, for information or to order one of the all-season tri-totes, call them at 1-800-231-1443. MasterCard or Visa, $38.50 plus $6.50 shipping and handling. This is a special price for our Shootin' Show audience, so please identify to them that it is, you did see it on the Shootin' Show. This is an excellent piece of equipment a lot of us would like to have, friends. 1-800-231-1443.
Now, friends, you know, most of us have 38 Special or 357 Magnum revolvers. If we like revolvers, we've got at least one in our collection. And the 38 Special is really an ideal cartridge, one for accuracy. It's ideal to learn to shoot. You can get such mild loadings in 38 Special. But if you're a police officer that is limited to 38 Special ammunition, and some places they still are, or if you're a homeowner, maybe all you've got is a 38 Special, maybe an older Smith & Wesson K or N frame, whichever one, or you're not comfortable, say if you have a 357 Magnum, you're not comfortable with the power level, or let's say you have a small gun like a Model 60 Chief Special in 38 Special chambering, or maybe a Ruger SP101 or one of the great Dan Wesson Little Dans. Well, here's an alternative. Corbine has come with a 38 Special loading, and you know, typical Corbine, they can get velocity like nobody else can without having those pressures that could damage your gun. Well, they have a 38 Special 110 grain bullet, which roughly makes the 38 Special equal to a 9mm. A lot of you know that a 9mm is somewhere between, and in better loadings of course, between a 38 and a 357 in power. Well, this Corbine 38 Special load will bring your 38 Special to an approximate level of the better 9mm loads. So this is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be interested in, and they are available out there. They have started shipping these, and we're going to give a little demonstration of just what velocity difference between a standard velocity 38 Special versus the new Corbine load. And let's take a look and just see what it looks like on water jugs. Now then, friends, we have never said that water jugs, our water bottles that we like to shoot on the show, are definitive examples of whatever test medium, but they do show energy transfer. So let's take a look. We have a standard velocity 38 Special load. Let's shoot our water bottle with that. Well, not a whole heck of a lot of action. Little hole in, little hole out, which is typical for the performance of a lot of 38 Specials. Well, let's do something else. Now then, friends, let's shoot an identical water bottle with our new Corbon 38 special load and see if you can see the difference. Yeah, well, I don't think that needs much explanation. So Corbon, ask for it or give them a call.
You know, friends, Corbon has been such a tremendous help to this program. We really do appreciate the nice people as well as the terrific ammunition. For information on Corbon, their entire line, give them a call, 1-800-626-7266. Again, 1-800-626-7266. Friends, what you're looking at is one of the neatest discoveries we've made in some time on the program. This is a bottle of Black Canyon black powder replacement. And one of the things you miss with this is since it has no sulfur in it, you don't have the mess that we normally associate with black powder shooting. It's more stable than black powder. It's a little safer to store and handle. And those of us who enjoy shooting these black powder firearms, you just don't have to spend all that extra time in cleaning because there's just not much mess at all. You need some of this if you enjoy shooting and hunting with black powder. So give them a call, Black Canyon Black Powder Replacement. Call them 800-622-8669. Again, 1-800-622-8669. Please tell them you saw it on The Shootin' Show. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923. Hello, friends. I'm out here practicing for one of the most fun hunting sports that you can imagine. You can use a variety of action types. You have access to year-round hunting, some cases no limits, and you get to use a variety of guns. Well, you know what I'm talking about is a sport of varmint hunting. And we need to introduce you folks to varmint hunting. A lot of us have been doing it for years and didn't know what to call it, but we especially need to introduce you to the Varmint Hunter magazine. You know, friends, varmint hunting is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the world. In fact, the Varmint Hunters Association, they have members in all 50 states and 19 foreign countries. Now, their magazine focuses on varmint hunting and super accurate reloading and shooting techniques. Plus, there's a lot of humor, a lot of interesting cartoons and humorous articles in the magazine. Incidentally, the magazine is large, it's very high quality, and something I think you're really going to enjoy reading, and it's published quarterly. It's only $24 for an associate membership in the Varmint Hunters Association. And look, for information, now you ought to do this. If you're a dedicated shooter, this is something I think you're really going to enjoy. For information on the Varmint Hunter magazine and the Varmint Hunters Association, call them at 1-800-528-4868. Again, 1-800-528-4868. Be sure and tell them you saw it on The Shootin' Show. You know, sir, I just don't see much difference between a good 45 and a good 357. Anyway, well, sir, I think you have some things to talk about. Friends, we hope you're enjoying the program. And the young man here on my right, on your left, in fact, hey, he's never on the left. This man is always on the right. Well, sir, I think you've got a little news for us, don't you?
Well, of course, it's old news by this time, and our listeners and viewers will rejoice with us. This past Tuesday, now almost a week ago, 6 days ago, we had an overturning in the United States Congress, both houses. I knew when CNN said that they thought the Republicans would elect 46 new members that I knew it was going to be more than that. It turned out to be 54.
My goodness.
And 7 senators plus the senator from Alabama who changed his registration. He was the only Democratic senator, incidentally, who voted against the crime bill.
Well, good for him.
And he said, in essence, what I said a long time ago, and that is, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. And we aren't through.
In fact, we've only just begun. Don't you agree to take back? We've got to take some things back.
Well, Johnny, the election, while it was a great victory, in many respects. For example, Jack Brooks, who the NRA refused to put on the hit list, but who Gun Owners of America did put on the hit list, lost out. He lost out for, I don't know why, several reasons. One reason is that Gun Owners of America opposed him. He made a stupid statement about the Waco fiasco. His criticism was that the FBI and alcohol, tobacco, and firearms took too long to subdue the people at the compound there. He said, if it'd been up to him, he'd have put a bomb in that water tank and been over in 4 hours. If his attitude is to try people without a trial and condemn them without a judgment, then this country is vastly better off without Congressman Jack Brooks. And he had been there for almost 30 years.
My goodness.
He'd gotten arrogant. That's the big thing I think a lot of the American people realized in this election, that Congress had gotten entirely too arrogant. Our government is too arrogant. If you don't believe it, go down to your local driver's license bureau and try to renew your driver's license, or get an automobile license on another car and find out how you get treated.
Well, sir, I want to compliment your attire here. You have on a pretty sporty looking jacket there, sir.
Well, Johnny, I would expect you to think it was sporty. You're the one that gave it to me.
Well, the judge has an official shooting show coat here, and in the past we have not offered these for sale, mainly because we didn't have it. We just had a few made up for us. But we're getting some requests. Now, you want to stand up and turn around and just show
Well,
the
I'll turn around, because if I stand up,
see if
I'm going to be off the camera.
Well, that's all right. If you turn around a little bit further, you can see the back of it. It has our official shooting show logo here and our gun there. It's a very sharp coat. Sir, I'd like to say that you do it proud there, your distinguished mannerisms and persona. But
I wore this coat up to the Tulsa Gun Show.
Well, and true. In fact, you were recognized up there, and we appreciate those good folks. But if you'd like to have these things run about $75 or so, if you'd like to have one of these coats, we'll call us or write us here at the program. We'll see about having some made. If we get enough response on it, we'll have some made up. I suppose we should probably offer those because they are nice jackets. But anyway, I just want to interject there, and I appreciate you wearing
Well,
yours.
it's lined. It is a nice jacket. It's warm. It's getting a little chilly down here now. And
well, even in Louisiana, yes, it does get chilly sometimes.
But anyhow, Johnny, we're talking about these elections. Now, the House moved up from a D+ rating to about a C- rating. The Senate moved up from a C- rating to a C rating, average. But the individuals involved make a lot of difference. For example, Foley is defeated. What they say, the first sitting
Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. It had been defeated in over 100 years, 130 years, I believe. And it looks like Newt Gingrich is going to get to be Speaker of the House. That puts him third in line to the presidency. Foley was soundly defeated. So was Jack Brooks. Jack Brooks was chairman of the House Judiciary Committee that authored the crime bill, and pushed by him and by Clinton. In fact, Gun Owners of America analyzed the election by saying that if Clinton had wanted to get rid of some of the sometimes conservative members of the House and the Senate, he couldn't have done it better than to make them walk the plank on the crime bill, because they did, and they lost.
Well, I'd like to add, most of the people that we've been supporting here on the show, most of them, the majority of them actually went in. Is that correct?
Both senators from Tennessee went in. Santorum from Pennsylvania went in. My big disappointment was that Madam Feinstein from California managed to squeak back in. Teddy Kennedy managed to get back in. And Ollie North didn't win. All of those people would have, I don't know that the Senator Feinstein's opponent would have helped very much on the gun thing, because he wasn't much better than she was. But I thought she needed to be punished for that assault weapons ban. Now, remember, these are not assault weapons. The Department of Defense Identification Manual defines an assault weapon as being a fully automatic weapon capable of selective fire. That's that old story of calling a tail a leg doesn't make it one, but they have defined it legislatively. And incidentally, I understand that Colt has now come out with a modification of that of the AR-15 that apparently avoids the bill and the
I hope so.
And the definition.
I think Springfield Armory is also going to be doing something on the M1A that will also do, and that's really good news, because maybe we can get some of this lame brain legislation. Maybe we can get some of it recalled or reclaimed.
You're not going to get it repealed, Johnny. No chance in the world of that, because Clinton will veto it. He made the Brady bill a plank in his, and when he was running for president. Brady 2's dead. It won't get passed. Remember now, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee is now Orrin Hatch.
Good man.
And Hatch is the one that was chairman of a subcommittee some years ago when the Republicans had the Senate, that wrote that tome on the Second Amendment, the origin and history and purposes of it.
Well, speaking of the Second Amendment, you have something here in front of you. Friends, I had the occasion a few days ago to look through a 7th grade American civics. I guess that's more a civics book. It's the story of America, or it's not really as much a history book.
I think it's more of a history book, Johnny.
You think so?
Be that as it may, whichever it is, history or civics, I can tell you that it was written by a liberal, or by some liberals at least. On Amendment 2, here's how they explain Amendment 2. The federal government cannot deny states the right to enlist citizens in the militia and to provide them with training in the use of weapons. Well, you know, in Louisiana, all able-bodied males between the age of 16 and 60 or somewhere are members of the militia. So how can they disarm us?
Well, in fact, they completely skirted the issue. And this is a problem, friends, because in the young minds that these books are going out to, and I'm sure this book is very common across this country, what they have done is completely ignore what the Second Amendment says. And they want to take out guns from any reference as far as being positive in our society or in our educational system, and start literally warping the minds of these young people so they won't know what it's about. Don't you agree?
Yes, I do.
Hello, I'm Al Evans.
And I'm Bobby Christie, and we sell advertising for the shooting show.
We're selling more these days, too, because of the results that we're getting, the advertisers, and we want to thank all of you viewers out there who take advantage of the special offers and the special prices that we advertise on the shooting show, because you've helped some of our new advertisers to really see what the show can do.
And we are fighting for your rights, and Johnny's fighting for your rights, and the judge is fighting for your rights, but we do need your help. We need your advertising dollar, and the rates are real good right now. We've brought some new people on board with us. We'd like to thank them. The Black Canyon Powder Company out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and Tri-Tote Company out of Connecticut. We do need more people on board with us because we are working real hard for you. We need your help. And our number is 1-800, and that spells
Save You Gun. 728-8486. Remember that 800 number, 728-8486.
and that spells Save, S-A-V-U, Gun.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
I spoke to a group in Winfield, Louisiana today, a Kiwanis club. Roy Brunn went down and I went down, and we each spoke. Roy did the principal talking, and then when the mayor of Winfield wanted to know why anybody had a need, as he put it, for a rifle that held more than 10 rounds, I came unglued. I wanted to answer that question.
You know, we said earlier, where was the camera when we needed it? Yes, sir. Tell us what you said.
I wanted to know from him what his need was, need for free speech. What was his need for freedom of religion? What was his need for freedom of the press? Societies have existed without any of those things. And the answer is that our founding fathers saw government as a danger and provided those with a constitutional protection. And the right to keep and bear arms was one of those. And in Louisiana we have an even stronger provision, because, Johnny, I had a hand in writing of one in Louisiana. And they leave out any reference to the militia. It just says the right of each individual citizen. Now,
and let's say now, the militia is not the National Guard.
oh no, the National Guard didn't come into existence until probably 50 years after Amendment 2 was adopted. The Amendment 2 was adopted for a very simple reason, and if you go back and read the origins and histories and purposes of the Second Amendment, or any unbiased history of this country, you'll see that the Founding Fathers considered the Second Amendment to be a protection against a tyrannical government. It was to keep government in its place, because a disarmed people are a docile people. They have to be. An armed populace will take a lot, but it won't take subjugation. The Second Amendment doesn't have a single thing to do with duck hunting. It doesn't have anything to do with deer hunting or buffalo hunting. It has something to do with self-protection, the ability of a family to protect itself and protect its members, and to protect itself against tyranny. And also, perhaps that doesn't appear to be very important right now, but 10 years ago it appeared to be pretty important. The armed homeowner, the armed citizen, might very well have been useful in the defense of the Republic. And that is an important thing. And there's one thing that we can be sure of. Tyrannies will come about. The periods in human history when people have been free have been brief and far between. And I think that we're getting more and more free now with the Congress that we have elected. Of course, you know there's going to be a conflict between Congress and the President. But Congress controls the purse strings. You remember the old expression that the President proposes, Congress disposes. And now, you know, I've also discovered that you can pretty nearly identify a liberal real quick and real easy. Just get his attitude about gun control. Liberals are in favor of gun control, conservatives are not. Now, that isn't 100% true, and perhaps there are a few things in this life that are 100% true, but that's a good first guess. I noticed that a lot of the F members of Congress have been defeated. A lot of the F members of the Senate have been replaced. When I say F members, I'm talking about Gun Owners of America listing, a rating of members of Congress, members of the Senate. I've got to boost Gun Owners of America again. They spent a lot of money in this campaign. They're probably broke now. They need your help. Contribute to them. NRA did the same thing. Some of it misguidedly, perhaps, particularly where they supported Jack Brooks. But, you know, their excuse to me, and they called me on telephone because I had griped real loud. And their excuse was, well, Brooks votes with us most of the time, and if he wasn't chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Sherma would be chairman of the Judiciary Committee. Well, you know what? Neither one of them are chairman of the Judiciary Committee. We've got a new chairman, a Republican. And I don't think we're going to see the same things coming out of the Judiciary Committee that we saw before. Now, I know, and you know, that gun rights were not the only thing that threw this election. The American people are tired of big government. They're tired of government intrusion in their lives. But this is just one of the manifestations of the government intrusion in your life, and the manifestation of big government is trying to disarm the public and excessively tax the public, tax the right to have firearms, tax the right to have over 1,000 rounds of ammunition. I had a man asked me today, what did I think about the proposal to limit your ammunition to 1,000 rounds? You know what I told him?
What?
I said, anybody that just has 1,000 rounds of ammunition is damn near disarmed already. And you know what? The Kiwanis Club applauded. They applauded.
Well,
that's a conservative.
That's up front.
That's a conservative community now. Let's understand it. That's a rural community, and that's good because that's where the strength of America is. It's not in these big urban centers. It's in the rural communities. It's where the food is produced. It's where freedom is taught. And unfortunately, the liberals have gotten hold of some of our books. And those of you who have children in school, take a look at your kids' books. See what they're being taught. And if they're being taught things that are not true, that are clearly wrong, make your voice heard. Gripe about it. You did a good job here last week or a week before in going around and being sure you voted and ringing the doorbells. You know, I heard on some program today, it was either Rush Limbaugh or G. Gordon Liddy, that somebody said, well, the reason why the liberals lost was because the liberals didn't turn out and vote. That's a bunch of nonsense. That was the highest turnout of voters that we've had in some years. The reason was that the conservatives got around to giving up the first day of hunting season, of getting out and voting, and making sure that their neighbors voted and that their neighbors were properly educated. Congratulations, America. You were successful. But we've got 2 years from now, we're going to have another one. And if we're still on the air, and I hope we are, if we're still on the air, we're going to be preaching then too, believe me. I may be preaching to the choir, but if the choir will get out and work, if the choir will get out and ring the doorbells, then we can do it. In the meanwhile, build up Gun Owners America. Build up the NRA. They still have lobbying jobs to do. The Second Amendment Foundation, that's another one. They rank lower than the other two, in my opinion, just my opinion. But they publish a good little weekly newspaper called Gun Week. I got one in today, and they didn't have the election results in it yet, so you can see that they're at least a week behind. But I'm right proud of what we did, of what the American public did. I don't take credit for it. I probably deserve little or no credit for it.
Well, I wouldn't say that, sir. With all due respect, we do appreciate everyone who watches this program in doing their part, because all of us working together, and really that's what it's going to take, is the people who believe in what's right, the people who believe in the principles that literally formed the nature of this country as it was set out to be, are the right thinking, the decent thinking people. And hey, we made ourselves heard this time, but this is just one battle.
Well,
this is a war.
Johnny, we've got something coming up. I don't know much about the GATT Treaty, the General Agreement on Tariffs and
Trade.
But some of the stuff I read about, I'm not too sure about. So probably what we need to do is stop this lame duck Congress, and they're lame ducks now because they aren't the same ones that are going to be in power in January. And we need to send them home, let them take their retirement gracefully, and come back. The ones that were reelected come back in January, and then let's consider the GATT Treaty. I don't know if the GATT Treaty is good or bad. I haven't read it yet. There's so many of these things that you can't read. The health bill was how long? 1,000 pages, something like that. The crime bill was several hundred pages long, and nobody knew what was in it. They voted on it because the conference committee put it together at the last minute, gave the Republicans a copy of it just before the vote. Nobody had time to read that monster. And yes, Congress can do something about it because they can cut off the funding for a lot of it. But they're not going to be able to do away with the Brady bill. They should. The courts may do that. Brady bill's been challenged in 4 separate courts.
It's been beaten
and 3 of them they've won. That is, the opponents of the Brady bill have won. I expect there's going to be some litigation on the crime bill too. Now, understand, we're all against crime. I'm against crime. Johnny's against crime. But I'm against disarming 99.9% of the honest Americans in order to take care of the 1/10 of 1% of the crooks. They aren't supposed to have guns now. So what good does another law do? They'll have guns, and if they won't have guns, they'll have baseball bats or knives or clubs or whatever, and the advantage of surprise.
You know, friends, on last week's program, we didn't give the phone number for Ranch Products, and we're going to do that now for the no drill, no tap scope mount for the SKS, also for full moon clips. So call them at area 313-277-3118. Again, 313-277-3118. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shooting Show.